Hello and welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot. I hope you're having a sunny day or mellow night, wherever you are. For today's reading, I wanted to make a fun mix of topics, hence why we're asking Spirit about a beautiful plot twist you didn't see coming. Kind of like a blessing and a something unexpected reading blended into one. But before we can unveil this positive shift that's crossing your path, let's first look at your choices for piles. Over here on the left for pile 1, your pile leader is Chamomile. In the middle for pile 2, your leader is Oak. And on the right for pile 3, your leader is Blackthorn. Pause here, of course, if you need an extra moment to decide what pile you're drawn to, but when you're ready, your timestamp is waiting in the description. I'll see you in your reading. Hello there, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading on a beautiful plot twist coming your way. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the lovely Chamomile as your pile leader. Absolutely love Chamomile. I actually have some growing in a pot on my deck. Came up by itself from last year, so very, very hardy plant. Keep that in mind as part of your reading, but first we're going to start with some tarot cards and another oracle deck to see what Spirit wants to say about this beautiful plot twist. So, calling on Spirit for your highest best good for pile 1. Where's this beautiful plot twist coming from? What part of their life is it related to? Thank you. There we go. Your first card today, we have the King of Pentacles. Speaking of gardening and things thriving, we'll talk about that more in a second. Second card today is more Pentacles. We have literally the gardening card, so very fitting. I wonder if some of you have been planting things this year, in which case I wonder if part of your beautiful plot twist, although maybe not the main one, is your garden will thrive this year. We have the Seven of Pentacles. He's planted things, he's waiting for them to grow, leaning on his gardening implement there. Then the third card today is the Three of Swords. So typically this would be a negative card, but we are asking specifically about a positive thing coming your way. So we'll talk about that more in a second in totality as we pull the final tarot card from your first spread. At least we have the Ace of Wands. Once again, kind of a card of growing things because as you can see, the wands typically have leaves growing on them like they're living trees or living branches, so to speak. And it's a very good sign in terms of things starting and new beginnings, especially in the realm of creativity and your passions and your ambitions, because that's what the wand suit is all about in tarot. So pile 1. This beautiful plot twist coming your way is definitely related to something that you've been growing. Like I said, literally, of course, maybe a gardening thing, but I think overall on a bigger scale, it's something that you've been growing in terms of a goal. You have an abundance of Pentacles cards today. So Pentacles in tarot are the Earth suit, which tends to relate to your resources, your finances, and especially in combination with the mastery of the suit, having the King of Pentacles coming out, especially because he tends to deal with external manifestations. This is a beautiful plot twist likely coming in terms of the amount of money you make or in terms of a positive twist with your job. So if you're job seeking, it's probably a really good sign in terms of like getting a job if you've been looking for one. Or if you currently are employed, you're not necessarily seeking a new job. This is a really good sign of maybe upward momentum, maybe a promotion. And on the other hand, you have the Seven of Pentacles, which is about starting something new and watching it grow, as well as the Ace of Wands. And like I said, that's usually a card of something new expanding in terms of especially like your ambitions and your passions. So I think even though some facets of it might technically be about like mastery and achieving something, I think part of the twist is there's something new you're going to be doing too that goes a lot better or it grows a lot faster than you expected because you have a lot of like fast growth things. Now the Three of Swords, like I said in the very beginning when it popped out, typically is a negative card. Usually it means heartbreak, usually it means pain, which is, very well illustrated by the rain falling down, the swords piercing the heart, so to speak. However, like I said, I read negative cards a bit different in a reading like this when we're asking what's positive that's coming your way. And I would read that as, and this positive twist is also fixing a pain of some sort. So I wonder if recently there's been some issue with where you work, or like say if you own a business, maybe there's been a sort of pain point, so to speak, that you have been trying to overcome, or like your department's been trying to figure out. I think this positive twist is coming in that direction. Or like I said, if you're currently looking for a job and you haven't necessarily, like you're not currently at a company, the pain point might literally be the pain point of being unemployed for a short amount of time, or however long that you've been, not necessarily, I guess it doesn't necessarily mean a short amount of time, especially in today's job market. I've heard it can be difficult. So, but in either case, it could be that pain point of not having had a job for a while. Okay. That's what will be fixed. And especially for those of you that are looking for a new job, the ace is a really good sign of once again, I said it's like a new beginnings card, things that are starting that are new. All right. So let's keep going. We have an extra oracle card to pick, so we're going to look at that now. Spirit, what else would you like to say to pile 1 about this? And then, of course, we'll pull your main tarot spread. That'll give us even more details on what's coming out of this, but we'll see what the oracle card says. Thank you, Spirit. We have number 1. Ooh, that one kind of came up. I meant to grab this one, but this was behind it. My finger grabbed it more, so we'll take it. We have healing. So I wonder if a lot of you, this might be related to a job with, say, healthcare, with a healing vocation of some sort. It could also be that, especially with combination with chamomile, because chamomile is a very common herb for calming and healing, and oftentimes it's used in conjunction to make other herbs stronger when you grow them close together. I think, is it maybe mint that tends to grow really well with chamomile? Feel free to correct me in the comments if you know better than I do with chamomile. But, we use it in teas. We use it for calming applications with aromatherapy, things like that. So it's either like a job or a thing that like calms people down or heals people. It might not necessarily be physical health, like, say, nursing or being a doctor. It could also be with mental health. It could also be with emotional health, something along those lines. And, we do have that pain point of the 3 of Swords. So it's just once again reiterating what I was saying before, like this is healing a pain point of some sort because of that card having popped out. And, yeah, I wonder if some of you might even work with medicine. That might be part of it, especially because of healing. And then also, as I said, chamomile is a very healing herb. So let's look at your main tarot spread, though. I'm very curious to see what else pops out. See if we see any more synchronicities. So, Spirit, thank you. Main tarot cards for pile 1 now. Thanks. Okay, I'm still getting used to shuffling this deck. It's my newest tarot deck, so I don't know. If you've had tarot decks before, sometimes the newer ones are a bit more stiff to shuffle. So, okay, that one drew my eye first, so we'll take it. We have the 5 of Spires or Swords reversed. Tends to mean that a fight is coming to an end, or at least the initial goal, because it is the first card in my spread I call the inciting incident. That the initial goal was to reduce, once again, pain, just like the 3 of Swords, but specifically reducing fighting or reducing arguing. That's more of the specific energy of the 5 of Swords, especially in reversed, because it's like getting rid of that energy. And then we have the 2 of Branches or Wands reversed. Also something that before you felt as if you were unable to make plans for. That's usually what the 2 of Wands reversed represents. So I wonder if part of the initial hurdle with this thing, pile 1, was that, because that's the thing, 5 of Swords can also mean that we're having some conflicts with communication, because it's the air card, or Swords cards are air in tarot. And then that lack of communication or fighting communication perhaps led to an inability to plan. Like, I'm thinking of, this is just one example, it might not resonate with all of you, but like if you've ever been at work and there's a certain project that like needs to get done, but like nobody's technically like communicating the way that they're supposed to be, or they're arguing over like minor details, and so therefore it blocks the process of planning from going ahead, that kind of thing. In fact, I wonder if some of you might even be like project managers, or like a project manager might be involved that like for some reason it's like they weren't able to actually fully finalize that A to Z plan because of conflicts that were in the way. And on top of that, because of the specific visualization or imagery with this particular 5 of Swords, we'll hold it up right for a second to look. It's one little fort against 4 bigger mountains. I almost wonder if, for those of you resonating, especially with this being like a work thing, where like your company is the smaller one, or your group or you working on this project are technically the smaller person in terms of power. And it was like other people involved, say those metaphorical bigger mountains, like had more power, but they were like less defined. They were less built up and strengthened, like the fort was, speaking metaphorically, with you as, you know, as I said, like you as the fort that was planned, and, you know, you planned everything out, you made sure that everything was good to go, but like they didn't. So that could have also been blocking your progress with the planning here too, especially too, because I just think with the Two of Wands, this particular imagery, this is why I love this deck so much, is just how vivid it is. It's like two trees that are very separate, and one is a lot farther along than the other. So I wonder if maybe the other half of this project or whatever has been going on like dropped the ball, or they just haven't been able to go quite as fast, and so it's impeded your progress. And so I think you'll be really happy to hear that the beautiful plot twist coming is, look, now we finally have fast progress where before there was pain. Okay, so let's keep going. We have your present position card with the Devil reversed. Wonderful. That means freeing ourselves from something that has been binding us or holding us back. So I actually won't explore that card too much because it is kind of a reiteration of what I was saying. Very wonderful to see that synchronicity, but, you know, things were blocked, people were maybe having miscommunication, and now the chains break with the Devil reversed. You're finally free to let this thing go forward and let this thing finally grow. Okay, and then in the fourth position, we have the Hanged One, or Hanged Man as it's known in most decks. Very beautiful with the Aurora and the Polar Bear. And that is a card of, well, usually different perspectives. I wonder if part of the engine fueling this different direction, or like the freeing, is that you're finally able to convince people involved of a new perspective that they wouldn't accept before, or it's something along the lines of finally a new idea comes along. That might be where the Ace of Wands pops in there, pile one. A new idea comes along and people are like, oh, well, why didn't we just do that before? It's kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those things in retrospect, you're like, well, duh, why didn't we just do that? But then it didn't quite click until that particular moment. It's something along those lines. Like, at last we finally see the light. Now it makes sense. Now we know where to go. Now we know that this is an easy way to bring this thing to greater fruition and faster progress, okay? And then last but not least, your final main spread card, we have wonderful, the Four of Wands, or branches. And this is why, one of the reasons why I love this deck is because you can kind of see each suit as a progressing story. So at the very beginning, pile one, as you know, you had the Two of Wands, or branches, and it was just two little trees. One was kind of farther behind, and at the very end, two in sequence later with the Four of Wands, or four branches, you have fully fruit-bearing apple trees. I think those are apples. They sure look like it because they're red. Fully fruit-bearing apple trees. Finally, they're all kind of the same size. They caught up, and four in numerology tends to represent stability, okay? It's about things being even and equal again. And so whatever was behind, that was lagging behind the other like thing that was farther ahead, or like I said with the example, like say someone else at work like dropped the ball, or like a different group like for some reason was kind of farther behind than the other half of say a project or something along those lines, you know, take what resonates, as I always say. It's like finally the outcome of this beautiful plot twist is that, okay, now we're all on the same page. Now we're all bearing the same amount of fruit, so to speak, which is kind of funny because I was saying that before with the Seven of Pentacles. He's planted, it almost kind of looks like pumpkins to me based on the leaves and the vines, but pumpkins or apples, whatever metaphor you want to use, you know, you have that fast growth. Things finally come to fruition. And it's interesting too because after the Hanged One especially, we have a very wintry scene, and then boom, all of a sudden it feels like, you know, late summer, kind of fall, just like when apples do finally ripen and they're ready for plucking. And so I wonder if maybe this project or this thing was started in a winter time, either the previous winter from when you're watching this, or if you're watching this right now in the winter, it was sometime during this season. It kind of really depends on where you live in the world, right, and what the timing is. But really the full fruition, I'm going to say, or put a pin in, is in around autumn time for you. However, I mean, it's fast growth though, and especially if you're watching when I upload this in, say, early summer. I mean, it really depends on how progress typically goes, where, you know, this particular goal that you've been working on is, but relatively it's going to be pretty fast from this early summer to autumn or whatever time you're watching this, as I said, especially in comparison and contrast to before where it feels like everything was really slow. You're like, oh God, this is moving like molasses. You're looking at your watch. You're kind of like, come on, hurry up, right? Boom. And then we have that ripe harvest. Actually, as one final question, I'm going to ask Spirit if they can tell us what the harvest will be from this. I already feel like prosperity and maybe even a promotion, like I said, could be part of this. Or say if like you are searching for a job currently, then the coming to fruition for you would be, of course, getting the job with the Ace of Wands, a new beginning with your ambitions, your passions, etc. But I'm curious as to either after you get the job or either after you find the success if you're currently at a job, what that final harvest will be. So I'm going to ask for a hint on that. Spirit, can you tell me about that final harvest? What are the apples, so to speak, or pumpkins, metaphorically? We have the Nine of Wands reversed. Not having to fight anymore. We can finally put down the time of scrimping and saving and tighter budgets perhaps too, especially if this is money related or related to, say, a job, okay? Because Nine of Wands upright is, usually he's like, man, I've been fighting, I'm battered, I'm bruised, I'm tired. Reversed in a reading like this, that is a positive kind of blessing reading, would mean, okay, now we can finally put down the struggle. So part of it is going to be a lack of struggle. That's part of the harvest coming. And then we have, the moon. I'm going to pull the third card before I remark on that, because that's one of those cards that really depends on the cards around it to interpret, because it can mean illusions, things not being what they seem. Oh, we have the Seven of Swords reversed. This is an odd twist, pile one. For some of you, I wonder if part of also what was blocking progress was related to someone doing something kind of sneaky. I say that because typically the Seven of Swords upright, he looks like a thief running away from camp, making away with the swords, right? Reversed, it means he's been revealed and the trickery has been unveiled in some way. It might not necessarily mean that a specific person was being deceptive. It might have been that the situation was just kind of deceptive, especially next to the moon, as I said. That's also a card of deception. It's a card of illusions. I wonder if, so for some of you, the harvest is going to be number one, you're not going to have to struggle as bad as you were before with that Nine of Wands reversed. But I think, too, what seems right now in a future-focused vision, like it's going to be a lot harder, like very difficult. You're going to get there, and part of the harvest, so to speak, is realizing, this might go a lot smoother than I expected. Like, for one example, just might not resonate with all of you, as I always say, but say this is like the first phase of a project at work, and now you have this beautiful plot twist of like, okay, now it's going smoother. Now we're finally communicating. Everyone's on the same page. We're going well, right? And then this might be, say, the second phase, which right now you might think is, oh my God, this second phase is going to be super tough because this first one has been really difficult. This is just an example. Maybe that second phase now won't be quite as much of a struggle as you were expecting because of this twist as well. So it's kind of like a cascading effect sort of thing. So that might be like the deception if it's not specifically a person. Something's deceptively difficult that won't be as much when you get there. Okay, that's part of the plot twist. But if it is a person, just to say for some of you, right, then there's something about, like, I wonder if they've been causing the delay. They've been causing the delay in some way, but then that gets revealed, and that also helps speed things along when like, okay, now we can stem off, or we can stop this deception from occurring. And then, therefore, inherently, it's not as much of a struggle or a fight because of that, too. So just be aware that there might be some illusions broken here about deceptions with this in the end, and that helps bring that riper harvest, okay? So the harvest really is number one, truth, and the great harvest is less struggle than you were expecting, okay? I wonder even, too, if, like, say if it was a deception where maybe someone was, like, taking money or something, I'm not saying that specifically, but this is just an example, then that inherently also brings more prosperity if you cut off them, say if they were, like, taking money kind of in a deceptive manner, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you save money when you realize, okay, we've caught someone taking money, just as that one example, okay? But in general, pile one looks like a really good plot twist to me in terms of fixing that pain point. Lots of progress of career and resources in general, just to summarize as a main point. But in the end, too, with that Four of Wands, a ripe harvest, things getting stable again, things healing, too, even if that didn't literally just mean this is related to a job that is associated with healing. It could just mean overall, too, especially, too, in association with your chamomile as a healing herb. Things calming down, things soothing, just like chamomile does. Beautiful reading there. So that was your reading for today on the beautiful plot twist you did not see coming. I hope, number one, it helped you and that it resonated with your situation and that you liked it. And if so, please like and comment and subscribe to the channel if you wish to do so. I just always ask because Lone Pine Tarot is a very small tarot channel on YouTube. So every little bit of interaction like that helps a lot. And I thank you for that if you choose to do so. And as we say in our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, Pile 1. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye. Hello there, Pile number 2. Welcome to your beautiful plot twist reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the mighty oak as your pile leader. Very strong trees. They endure, as you can see by the depiction, thunder and lightning. Well, I guess lightning specifically. Thunder is just the noise, of course, but we'll set that off to the left to begin. And let's start with a mini tarot spread as well as your other oracle card. Calling on spirit for your highest best good for Pile 2 today. Tell us more about this beautiful plot twist coming their way. What do they not expect that's good? Thank you. Okay, first card up to bat is the Ace of Wands. Pile 1 had this today as well. Wonderful card. We'll explain more about what that means, but it is positive so far. And then we have the Page of Wands reversed. Third card up to bat for you is, wonderful, the Nine of Swords reversed. Great card to get reversed. And then, let's see, for number 4, feeling drawn to this one back here. We have the Tower reversed. Also, usually pretty good to get reversed, especially in a reading like this when we're asking about something positive coming your way. So, I will tell you this, Pile 2, right off the bat. There's something that you are very worried about that's not going to go as bad as you think it will, okay? So I hope that brings some relief even just here in the first few minutes of your reading. But to explain, I say that because we have, I'll explain these two later. Over here, we have the Nine of Swords reversed. That is usually the card of, I have been anxious about something. However, my anxiety drops for some reason. Being next to the Tower reversed in a reading like this would mean I avoid a disaster. Okay, so there's something that you've been really worried about, something that you've been biting your nails about. You're like, uh-oh. Maybe it's even been keeping you up at night, because that is the traditional depiction with the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. You can see this figure right here is like, oh my god, I'm worried about it. I'm laying up in bed, maybe even having nightmares about it, especially because it looks like they just woke up, right? But reversed, boom, we don't have to worry about it anymore, especially next to the Tower. Something monumental that you think is going to go wrong will not go wrong. But to expand on that, we have the oak tree, which is kind of interesting in how it's similar to the Tower because we have lightning in both. We have a tall figure. Well, I guess your oak is technically the acorn, not necessarily the tree, but oaks tend to be tall, very hardy trees. Of course, they grow very slow, but that doesn't mean that they grow weak. They're strong trees, known as hardwoods, right? And just like an oak tree sitting on, say, a prairie, and this Tower sitting here with the lightning striking it, they can withstand a lot. Okay, especially reversed with that Tower. So you are going to endure Pile 2. Just through that synchronicity, as I said, too, because of the Tower, just like the oak tree, okay? It's a tree of great strength, as I said, and it's a humble strength. It's not showy, right? But sometimes the best strength in life is the strength to endure and the strength to survive, and I do see that for you today with these cards. Now, we do need to explain the Ace of Wands and the Page of Wands reversed. I think for a lot of you, this worry might not resonate with all of you, but for a lot of you, this worry has surrounded something that you are passionate or ambitious about. That's usually what Wands cards in tarot represent because they're the fire suit in tarot in terms of elemental terms. And so I think it's like you started something new recently, hence the newness of the Ace of Wands. It's often aces are like new beginnings in tarot. They're the very start of each suit. However, it's like you keep finding blocks in terms of like what direction to go or your ability to explore. Especially, that's a really good keyword to use with the page is in tarot. And it's like you want to explore, you want to get this thing going, you want to get it off the ground, but you've been worried about it, okay? So that might resonate for some of you. Okay, for those of you that are like, well, no, it's not something I already started. It's, it's different than that. However, you have been worried about something, hence the Nine of Swords reversed and the Tower reversed, okay? Then I would see this as, if it's not necessarily a new thing that you started, it could mean that part of the beautiful plot twist is you having the capacity or ability to explore things more in the future regarding your ambitions and your passions after this, what you perceive as an incoming disaster comes to pass without being the disaster you expected it would be, I guess is the best way to explain that. And that leads to a new gateway, a new door, that new beginning of the ace for you to start something new. Okay? Kind of almost makes me think of, there's some trees out there. I don't think oaks are like this, but I think some pines might be. I should know this. My channel is called Lone Pine Tarot. But anyways, there are some pines out there, if I'm correct, that they do not really technically, it's like they don't drop their seeds or their seeds don't release until they come across wildfire or just like heat and fire in general. This kind of makes me think of your situation here where like you're expecting this wildfire pile too, but then, speaking of the wand suit being the fire suit in tarot, you're expecting this wildfire, but then really what it does is it actually gives you something new, like that seed I was talking about, okay? Yeah, feel free to correct me in my comments if you know more about that particular pine tree. I think it tends to be a Western North American tree pine. Is it ponderosa, perhaps? I'm not sure. Something like that. I think sequoia might even do that too. But, yes. Like that seed growing after the wildfire. You thought, oh my god, there's going to be nothing left or this big thing's going to happen. But then actually it just sparks something new instead. You're like, oh, actually, hey, wait a minute, that's not as bad as I thought it was, but let's keep going. We have your other Oracle card to look at. Spirit, what else do you want to say to pile 2 about this? About this wonderful spark that looks like a disaster, but really does something cool. We have, oh my god, look at that. We have another synchronicity, pile 2. Remember I was talking to you about how oak is about like strength and protection and enduring? We have another reiteration of that. You're protected, pile 2. If you needed another confirmation from Spirit that this thing you think is going to go completely dumpster fire wrong is not going to go wrong, here you have this card with protection. You are protected. And literally she has angel wings. I wonder if that might be a sign that perhaps, your angels are always looking out over you in my personal opinion and my personal belief, but I think they're especially looking over you right now. In fact, is that a sword in her hand? Quite looks like a blade of some sort, maybe like a rapier, very thin sword. Kind of looks like very delicate, subtle protection, but it's protection nonetheless. Your angels are looking out for you, I'm hearing. But overall, we have so much about avoiding a disaster and being protected, pile 2, so I won't talk about that card too much more unless it does relate to your main tarot spread, which, speaking of, let's draw that right now. I'm going to laugh if any more lightning symbols come out or protection symbols come out. I wonder if maybe the I'm trying to think if there is a protection card in tarot. I suppose, of course, like the Tower reversed kind of is sometimes, depending on the context, but... Four of Wands typically means, like, stability, so maybe your Four of Wands will come out, we'll see. Okay, Spirit, anything else you want to say about this beautiful plot twist there? Probably very happy to hear. We have the Seven of Tides or Cups, and that, my friends, is usually a card about things that we're dreaming of. Things where we are not necessarily at the manifesting stage quite yet, but it's been weighing heavily on our heart in terms of something that we want or something we've been daydreaming about. So for those of you that did resonate with when I was saying this might have been something that you're worried about regarding something that you already kind of tried to start getting off the ground that might be related to this dream we've been talking about, okay, hence the Seven of Cups. But in general, too, it can mean that a lot of this stemmed from you. It's interesting because actually this particular depiction of the Seven of Cups, and this is why I love this deck, this is why I got it. It's my newest tarot deck, and I absolutely love it already. We have, maybe hard to see on camera, but there is a ship here born on the waters, and it's kind of stormy waters, except there's a little patch of light blue in the middle, okay? And there are some stars to steer by. In fact, it looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 7, hence the 7 of Cups or 7 of Tides. And so it's also a card about navigating danger, which once again, you know, not that we needed another synchronicity about being protected, but literally the ship manages to make it through this hard, stormy time. Okay, so once again, you're very protected here. Let's keep going. We have for your second position card another 7. Lots of lucky numbers, 7 of Spires or Swords. And this one's interesting because actually typically this card means deception or trickery or something not being what it seems exactly. Sometimes it can mean that there is a deceptive person involved, but this situation, Pile 2, for you, I feel like this is more there's something about the situation that has been deceptive. What that means to me is, I don't know if you just heard something on the grapevine or you tend to have an anxious mind, which, you know, relatable, I get that 100% myself, but for some reason, something's made you nervous, but it was deceptive. There's something about what's worrying you that's not what it seems. We'll see what the third card in the particular spread I like to use, because oftentimes cards next to each other I read just kind of giving... Sometimes it'll change the interpretation of each card depending on where it is placed. So let's look. We have next up the Strength card. Another card of enduring and having enough courage, right? Another great sign. Yeah, Strength next to the 7 of Swords. It's either that you think you're not strong enough to face this and that's the deception, or there's something about what's worrying you that seems deceptively stronger than it actually is. It's like something that really, you think it's a mountain, but it's actually a molehill. Or it like looks a certain way, but really it's a lot weaker than it seems. It's something along those lines, Pile 2, okay? Especially to a lot of those mountains. A lot of mountain symbolism here. We even have kind of a mountain in the background here with the Ace of Wands. And mountains always kind of symbolize like obstacles, things in our way. I mean, you're going to overcome it just fine. I mean, look at this Pile too. I mean, I hate to be repetitive, but I mean, good repetition because it's good things, right? But let's look at your fourth position card. We have the Page of Branches or Wands reversed, just like you did before. In this position, it's a slightly different interpretation, though, as this is the near future. And especially, too, this is a positive reading because we're asking, well, so really, I can't talk today. We're actually kind of asking for a blessing reading, and so I read what would typically be a negative card in a different way in a blessing reading. Okay, so in a blessing reading, a Page of Wands reversed would mean what was blocked before in terms of your ability to explore what makes you feel passionate or what you're ambitious about is part of what's opening up. And it's very interesting with this particular depiction too, because it almost looks like someone that, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it kind of almost looks like they're in the point of view of they're staring up from a treehouse, looking down the ladder to get down to the ground. It's almost like a kid for the first time might be looking down from a treehouse. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, it was easy to scale up, but I don't know. Am I brave enough to scale down or to finally walk down the ladder again? Okay, or move down the ladder. And there's gardens around it. Sorry, I'm just looking to see how that changes the interpretation. Yeah, as that door opens up for you to get back on the ground. I don't know if you've had to kind of hide something or kind of like hide a bit, Pile 2, or like store something away, because that makes me think of like you hiding in the treehouse, metaphorically speaking, but then you're finally able to get down again. It's almost like when a cat is scared and they're stuck up in a tree. That could just That might not necessarily mean like literally like you're hiding, but it might mean that just like a cat getting stuck up in a tree Pile too, that like it impeded your progress. Like you were it wasn't that you could move on, but you were too scared to come back down. So that might have been what kind of slowed everything to like a slower crawl, I guess, something along those lines. But that opens up because of your courage, because you realize, oh, that was deceptive. I didn't need to worry about this thing. I'm not going to have the disaster I was expecting. And then Strength is all about our courage, our willpower to finally be like, you know what, maybe I can finally come down from this tree, so to speak. Let's look at your final card today, too, at least at the main spread. Ah, wonderful. We have, speaking of a complete opposite from that stormy 7 of Cups, 7 of Tides, we have the 10 of Tides or Cups. And that means, my friend, happily ever after with something, and specifically, once again, this is why I love this deck, because each spread tells a story in sequence. So it's kind of hard to see because we only have 2 of the Cups or Tides cards right now, but I'll show you what I mean. Let me look at this for 1 second here. We went from, in the beginning, stormy skies. Everything's kind of dim. Although there's a little patch of brightness there. We're hoping we can navigate with these stars, these hopes, these dreams, right? And then at the end, finally, after the storm clears, what often happens when storms clear and the sun comes back out, a rainbow appears. And that is a symbol of success and miracles after turbulent times or after storms, so to speak. So, I mean, it's repetitive, pile 2. As I said before, even me saying that is repetitive, I guess. But it's just really positive things you have that happily ever after with the 10 of Cups, okay? The rainbow coming out after what you thought was going to be an utter storm. Okay, so really this is a calming kind of reassuring reading from Spirit for you today. And there's so much storm imagery too, not just because of the Tower and the Oak card with the lightning, but then on top of that, even like the Tide/Cups cards are like, there's a storm that's clearing, okay? So just be reassured. You're protected, pile 2. There's nothing to worry about here, or at the very least, what seems like an absolute massive setback or downfall is just going to be, I don't know, you're protected from it, pile 2. And on top of that, there's something new coming out of it, because not only did I mean that with just the metaphor before of the pine trees that do release their seeds, or like they finally start growing when the wildfire and heat comes, but I just realized this now with the Ace of Wands up here. Literally, it's that new growth coming out of a hand that's coming out of a storm or clouds. So literally, it's not only you're avoiding this disaster, but this new thing that you've been seeking is coming out of it like the seed. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And on top of that too, if this is especially related to a relationship, because you do have a lot of Cups cards, especially your outcome is the 10 of Cups. I do see a positive outcome with a relationship too that is protected, because the 10 of Cups specifically can mean happily ever after with a relationship with another person. It doesn't have to be romantic, it can be platonic too. I always read tarot as both platonic and romantic, but either way, whether it's a friend, whether a partner, whether to be a family member, no matter what, if that resonates with you more that way, then that relationship will be okay. Okay? Wonderful. Not much more to say. Don't worry, you're going to avoid a disaster and things are going to come out of it that are great that you didn't expect. So wonderful. I'll leave that there for you today, pile 2. I hope, number 1, that the reading helped you. I hope that it resonated with your situation. I hope that you liked it. If so, please like and comment and subscribe. And thank you so much if you choose to do one of those things, if not more than one, just because Lone Pine Tarot is still a very small tarot channel, and every little bit helps the channel grow so much. So if you could do those things, if you want to, thank you, if you do. And as we say in our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, pile 2. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome to your beautiful plot twist reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the mysterious, almost looking Blackthorn card. Very beautiful depiction there. I almost wonder if part of this plot twist is related to a pain you've been having, specifically because it almost looks like the Blackthorn is piercing the hand. I wonder if you might get the 3 of Swords as part of your spread, but let's see. We'll pull first your main mini tarot spread up here, and then we'll also pull your other oracle card to begin. So, calling on Spirit for your highest best good for pile 3 today. Can you tell us a little bit more about this beautiful plot twist coming their way? Thank you. What's the context? What area of their life is this related to? We have number 1. The Tower. Pile 2 had this card today too, although they had it reversed. You have it upright. And typically that would be a negative card, but because this is a blessing or a positive reading, I read the negative cards in a different way because it's about a good thing coming, a beautiful plot twist, as I said, but we'll explain more about that in a second. Your second card is the 9 of Swords reversed. You know what? You're kind of like pile 2 today. If you were also drawn to pile 2, that's probably why you're going to have probably a bit of a similar message, but let's keep going. It's a good message, though. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. Very wonderful for stability and security. And then last but not least, pile 3 for your final mini card, we have the Hermit, another major arcana. a time of introspection and calm. So reading all of these in cohesion with one another, pile 3. There is something that you have been worried about lately. And like I said, if you watched pile 2, it's going to sound like a broken record. They were kind of similar because they literally got the Tower and the Nine of Swords, although they got it in a different position. But anyways, speaking about you, not pile 2. Something you've been worried about lately. It's something you fear is going to be a massive disaster. You're like, oh my god, this thing is looming. It's going to be a pain in my butt, or it's going to cause like really bad problems, etc. And I say that specifically because yes, the Tower traditionally is a negative card of a disaster occurring, and on top of that, the Nine of Swords tends to mean someone that is feeling quite anxious about something, as you can see when you look at it upright. They're laying in bed, they have their hand in their head. They have their head in their hands, that's the better way to put it, right? They're worried, they've maybe been having nightmares, maybe you've been really anxious and having nightmares or staying up late at night about this thing recently, pile 3. Reversed though, that means the anxiety is coming to an end. So disaster, bad thing, I'm really worried, and then boom, Nine of Swords reversed. I don't have to worry about that. And the reason you don't have to worry about it, pile 3, anymore, why your anxiety is unfounded, is because there's something kind of secretive coming along with the Hermit. The Hermit is a card of something that has been in a cave, so to speak. It's been something that's tucked away, a little bit more of an introverted thing, just like a hermit literally is, okay? That comes out and shines its light, just like the Hermit coming out of his cave and shining the light of that lantern right there. And that light, that secretive thing coming forward, is related to, as I said with the Queen of Pentacles when I first pulled her, is stability. She is a card of positive things coming in terms of finances and career and like your job, stability, as I said with the main keyword, especially when it comes to how you feel internally about these things. She's a very generous figure. It could also mean specifically, because she is a court card, that can mean a person. It could be that you've been worried about a specific person that matches the description of a Queen of Pentacles, which would be, middle-aged, feminine to maybe middle-aged to older, feminine energy figure that is a earth sign or has a lot of earthly energies to them. So there's someone who tends to be maybe generous, someone who's down to earth, someone who is typically, kind of calm and level-headed. So it could mean that you're worried about them more than yourself. Or maybe you are matching that description, feminine earth sign. Could be that you're worried about yourself in that way. You might be represented as that Queen of Pentacles. But either way, pile 3. It's going to be okay. This is a reassuring reading, just like pile 2's today was. And speaking of your Blackthorn, we haven't really explored that one too much. Once again, that typically is more of a negative card, because as I said when we first looked at it in the beginning, it's typically a card of a pain of some sort because of the way that the Blackthorn is piercing the hand. However, it can also mean on the other side, because this particular deck is really cool, it actually comes with 2 guidebooks. There's always different interpretations for these cards. The other interpretation of Blackthorn, other than, the pain part, is it's about endurance, and it's being assured of your skill and your ability to endure despite others' doubts. So now we have a factor of other people's doubts coming in here. Excuse me. I almost wonder if one of the reasons you're worried is because someone else planted that idea in your mind to be worried about it. Maybe someone else has had kind of catastrophic thinking and infectiously it kind of has made you anxious. Maybe someone that you trust has said something and you're like, oh God, well, I trust that person, so therefore maybe this bad thing really will happen. It's something along those lines. And it's not necessarily that they said that to scare you on purpose, pile 3, just maybe they were kind of anxious about something and, as it does, as I said, infectiously, it spread to you too, because they were worried about it and you're worried about them too, especially if this is maybe another person as represented by the Queen of Pentacles. But I'm assuring you now, you're going to be fine. They're going to be fine too if it's another person you're worried about, okay? Because the Blackthorn is about endurance. It's about thriving despite being, I think typically it's a plant more of colder seasons. At least that's what the guidebook kind of indicated. So that's why it kind of makes me think of the Nine of Wands. I wonder if you might get the Nine of Wands in your main tarot spread. We'll see. Put a pin in that. You might not. You might. It's always cool when it does come up when I say that, because that's kind of the energy that's cropping forward, is the Nine of Wands, endurance and determination energy here. Being good and being okay despite what seems like major setbacks, okay? Although I think for you specifically, pile 3, I don't know. I mean, you know, the tower being upright makes me wonder if technically something will happen that seems disastrous at first, but you realize in the end, oh, actually, that really wasn't the bad thing I thought it was. I'm wondering if that's it for you, or it's like there's something deceptive about how, like, I don't know. I think there's catastrophic thinking here. I think it looks like a giant mountain when really it'll be a molehill in the end. Okay, so that's at least what I'm picking up on intuitively, but let's keep going with your oracle deck, the other one, I should say. Spirit, what else do you want to say to pile 3 about this avoided disaster or security and stability and their ability to not have to worry about something anymore? We have power. The power to endure, the power to survive, having strength. I wonder if part of it is too, is you're worried that a power is going to be taken away, but therefore this card coming out means that you'll be able to retain that power. Makes me think that you might also get the strength card with your main tarot spread today, pile 3. So we have kind of 9 of Wands, kind of strength card energy based on everything else popping out. And that also kind of makes me think of that Queen of Pentacles, whether that be you or someone else. Like, they'll be able to retain, or you'll be able to retain your power. And then we too have kind of an angelic figure here. They're black wings, but they are technically angel wings, right? Like, angels are close by, at least in my personal opinion, of course. I think angels are by all the time, but specifically, of course, when things pop up that really make us worried or we're really afraid of a disaster occurring, I think they tend to be especially close to help us. So, I don't know, if you recognize, if you have connected to a powerful angel before, I wonder if that is who, it might be their way of identifying themselves with that power card and them having angelic wings in the depiction, okay, pile 3? Beautiful so far. Having that power. And for some of you, this might not resonate with all of you. There might be 2 figures involved that are part of causing your worry. It might not just be one person that made you worry. It could have been 2, or maybe part of the worry or the disaster that you're fearing is 2 other people. I say that because not only do you have like the 2, I don't know if they're technically jaguars or cheetahs, but you know, giant wild cats down at her feet and she's not even worried about them. And then on top of that, the tower has 2 figures falling out of it. So like a disaster surrounding 2 people. So once again, that might not apply to every single one of you, but some of you, that's just another reiteration to you of this being your reading and that you will be protected and will be able to avoid this disaster, okay? So let's look at your main tarot spread to get some of the final details here, pile 3. Although you're probably already quite relieved, but of course it's always good to get more details. So, Spirit for pile 3, what else do you want to say to them about this? Thank you. See kind of a timeline too with my main spread I like to use. Okay, well we already have 1 card. Let's see what that one is. Justice. A lot of you, this might actually be related to a legal or justice-oriented thing because of that card having popped out. And being the first card, I call that my inciting incident with the spread I like to use. It's kind of what started all of this. Oh, I just realized that. Kind of morbid, but I think there's blood on the stairs here. It might have been a really harsh kind of court battle or like a really harsh thing that you're trying to get justice for because of that depiction. I wonder, oh, especially too, because you see like the Libra up here, or the balance scales, and it very much so looks like a Roman architecture or Greek architecture here. Definitely like court, or even if it's not like literally something that happened or is like occurring within a court, pile 3, there's an element of something needing to be fair here. You want fairness for something. Maybe that's even where power comes into. Like maybe there's a power over you that you're trying to get justice from, or it might be literally the justice system that has too much power and you're trying to fix that, or it's trying to resolve something where you're getting your power back, or some of you, it might be that this figure, if this is someone else, it might be like, say, a mother figure that you're trying to maintain the ability to like look after in the justice system, like legally. That's a very specific thing, so I don't think, maybe like 10% of you will resonate with that, but I am seeing that as well because of that Justice conjunction with that Queen of Pentacles. Let's keep going. We have the Queen of Wands or branches, another feminine figure. And that's often about someone who is confident or having confidence in something. Could also mean that there is another figure involved in the situation that's been worrying you that is, once again, you know, middle-aged to older feminine energy, but fire this time because of branches / wands versus the Earth of the Pentacles before. And it's very interesting because, I'm sorry I'm pausing, but this deck is so beautiful because there's just so much symbolism in the meaning. So I look at the imagery especially. She has been preserving things over here on the wall. She's been waiting and biding her time. Especially, it almost kind of looks like it's been through the winter because there's snow on the ground, but it's finally melting. You might have had to wait a while too, and maybe now finally this thing is cropping up and you're kind of worried about the beginning of it actually getting going. But you've been preparing pile 3, and that's, I think, part of why this won't hit as bad as you think it will. Because you've been preparing, just like this shed here with all the preserves in it. Like, you know that you've been working hard to survive. Let's keep going. That's very interesting. We have, the Ace of Branches, Ace of Wands as your central card, which can mean both the present as well as the overall theme of everything today. And the Ace of Wands is often about a new beginning or a new start with something that we're passionate about, something that we are ambitious about. I wonder if a lot of you are just on the cusp of a new beginning with this whole situation. Like, I think it might even be within the next... I mean, sometimes it kind of can depend on the season that you're watching this. I'm uploading this video in early summer, okay, or just as the cusp of summer and spring, and the wand suit in tarot tends to represent the spring. So I wonder if it might be like right now, literally, that you're going to see this disaster avoided, like within the next few days or so, because of that. But of course, too, as I said, you know, my readings are timeless. You can view this year round. So for you, it might specifically be a resolution around the beginning of spring, okay, or beginning of that time of year for you, depending on where you are in the world. Geographically, I know people have different seasons, and, you know, there's even places that have 2 seasons instead of 4, like they have dry and wet versus, you know, the 4. So I would say take that as it resonates with where you are. But yeah, we have finally something growing, finally seeing some progress there. And then we have the 6 of Wands or branches reversed, and typically that would be a negative card, pile 3. But as I said with the Tower in the beginning, I read in a blessing or positive reading like this, I read the negative cards a bit differently because we're asking what is going to improve. So a 6 of Wands in a reading reversed in a reading like this is typically where you were denied victory before, especially with the Justice system for those of you resonating with that particular card. You're going to see the victory that you were denied before, because currently right now it's blocked, hence the reversed. But as I said, with this kind of reading, it's like finally that opens up. And on top of that, these particular cards in this deck, that's why I love this deck so much already. It's my newest tarot deck and I already am just in love with it. We have kind of a story going on between the different cards in each suit. So we have literally the beginning of a tree growing in the Ace, and then all the way to the 6 of branches, or 6 of Wands, we have a whole grove that is absolutely thriving. We even have the wreaths on them because it's like, you know, the wreath of victory as we associate. Speaking of Greek mythology, with the bay leaves, okay? Or I guess it's a crown of laurels, technically. Finally getting that victory you've been looking for, and it looks like there's lanterns there too. Like the way being made more clear as well because of the light within the night with the lanterns. Let's see what the final card is, because that might also provide some context to that 6 of Wands. I'm very curious. We have the Lovers. Now, traditionally, that would be a card of, say, well, literally romantic love. That's the very, very common explanation of the Lovers, hence it's called the Lovers, of course. But it can also represent a choice of some sort, especially upright. It means a choice going right. Pile 3. It means success and harmony. That's a really good keyword to use with the Lovers after a time of struggle. Okay. And once again, when we're speaking about timing, literally the month I'm uploading this video is in June. Okay. And the Lovers is a June card. It's literally number 6, right? 6th month of the year. And it's associated with Gemini, hence, June, okay? So I'm seeing this resolution. Oh, and we also have the 6 of Wands. Duh, we have another 6. We have 2 6s. So I'm seeing this resolution pile 3 really being quite quick here. If you're watching this the month that it's uploaded, probably within the next month then with all those 6s with June, okay? Or, once again, timeless reading, wherever you are, whatever time of year it is right now, I would see a resolution about June, early summer, okay? Or as I said with the Ace of Branches, could be towards earlier spring as well. Maybe a longer progress, but like a longer success with this thing that you've been trying to seek in terms of stability, avoiding this disaster, okay? But it's coming. It's not a quick snap victory. The very first inkling of it is going to be very soon, or wherever June is at the time that you're watching this, right? As compared to where what month you're in now. But despite it technically starting soon, it's a long, drawn out success, but it is a success nonetheless. It's a victory over the thing that you were worried about, okay? So just keep that in mind, even if you don't see that very quick progress, you're not snap your fingers, it's done. That doesn't mean that there isn't progress being made. Okay. Some of you, this might even be related to a partner of yours or someone that you were very close to. Maybe your partner is the Queen of Pentacles figure that we were talking about, or it could also mean too that, like I say, if you were the Queen of Pentacles figure yourself, that this is related to a partner of yours that's literally a romantic partner, or it could be, as I said, I read these cards platonically too, so that could mean, a close friend or a family member as well. But maintaining that harmony, especially for those of you that, it's you're afraid that power is going to be taken away from you to take care of this person. Like I said, some of you might be a mother that you've been taking care of, and you're afraid that, they're going to be taken away for some reason because of some legal thing that's you know what I mean? Something along those lines. That Lovers as an outcome is a really good sign of that relationship being maintained, that harmony and connection still being maintained, okay? So especially for those of you in any legal battles recently, this is a really good sign of the legal battle going okay. Or even if it's not a literal court, as I said in the very beginning, there's a fairness being achieved here that you've been seeking. Okay, so put away the worry. That's the main message with this particular reading for you today. Put away the worry. Put away the fear of the disaster. Okay? Because things are going to turn out fine. You're going to have the power that you need. You're going to find the victory that you've been seeking because you've been preparing so much. Pile 3, remember that with the Queen of Wands. And know in the end that things will be maintained in terms of harmony. Okay? Now, we didn't get the Strength card, and we didn't get the 9 of Wands like I expected, but we did get a lot of other cards that seem to have synchronicity with what we were seeing before. Okay. Wonderful. So that was your beautiful plot twist reading today, pile 3, aka you're going to be fine. It's a reassuring reading, right? Just like pile 2 was today. So if you were drawn to also pile 2, totally makes sense. It probably because it's very kind of a similar message, a little bit of differences, but yeah, so if it resonated, if you liked it, if this reading helped you, please like and comment and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I just always ask that because Lone Pine Tarot is a very small tarot channel on YouTube. It's very tiny, so every little bit of interaction like that helps quite a bit. So thank you if you choose to do those things, if you would like to. And as we say in our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, pile 3.